Hey, thank you for watching. Before I became a business coach and trainer, I worked 18 years for others in different management positions. Two-thirds of that time I spent in the market research industry. And there is one thing that the industry has taught me: asking questions. You see, I believe that most entrepreneurs out there are successful because they acknowledge that they don't know everything. And they acknowledge that they need to ask the right questions to get the right answers. So are you asking the right questions? What works for market research also works for ourselves. Often we are stuck in situations because we cannot find the questions that lead to the right answers. With the right questions comes the right answers. In this video, I'm going to share 4 steps that will help you think clearly and ask the right questions in any situation. Finding clarity and asking the right questions can prove to be very difficult if you are overwhelmed. You know, when you feel like there's too much information and you can't make sense of them. Or when you feel the anxiety of making a very important decision that will affect other people's lives. Emotions trump your clarity. Emotions entrap you in your head, telling all these stories again and again and again and again. Emotions may make you make a decision too fast and suddenly ask the wrong questions, and that can have devastating results. So it is very important that to be able to ask yourself the right questions, you pause a little. How can you do that? It's really up to you. But it's very important that you find a way to lower your heart rate, that you find a way to take 5 minutes to think, even in emergency situations. A great method that I found is by a man called Timothy Galway in his book, The Inner Game of Work. And it is very simple. He calls it STOP. S for stop, T for take a step back, O for organize your thoughts, and P for proceed. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. You need to take the time to relax, cool down, find clarity in your head so that you can find the right questions. Remember, with the right questions comes the right answers. Once you've cleared up your mind, you can now start think about the questions. And the first question should be, why? A lot of the time, we just start thinking about what do I want to do? And then we think about how somehow we may reach those goals or those objectives. But we forget one crucial element: the why, the purpose. Why is it that we want to go there? Why do we want to reach those goals? How are you supposed to know where do you want to go and how you're going to get there if you don't know why you're going there in the first place? The clearer your why, the clearer the other questions will be. Once you have answered the why, then you can answer all the whats, the when, the hows, the whos and the wheres. On that particular topic, I invite you to read Simon Sinek's book called Start With Why, in which you will find the golden circle. He says, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Here is a homework for you. Why are you doing the things that you are doing now? Your mind is clear and you have answered your why. It is now time to get to the next step. You're going to end up with a list of so many questions, but not all of them can be answered. It is now time to classify those questions and to keep only the must-have. The must-have questions are those questions that are the most insightful for you. For example, is my business successful? Is it an insightful question if you have not defined what success looks like first? So what about asking the question, what does success look like for me? Asking question is a skill. And like any skill, it must be practiced. I would like to give you 4 rules to ask insightful questions. Rule number 1. Use open-ended questions as opposed to closed-ended. In other words, do not use questions with a static response like yes, no, or I'm not sure. Those questions will not necessarily give you the perspective that you're looking for. One of my favorite open-ended questions is, what are you good at? It's very useful in a job interview because candidates usually do not expect it. Rule number 2, be clear about your purpose. Coming back to the why, of course. Determining quarterly goals. Looking at ways, for example, to overcome a financial setback or doing a budget for the year is not the same. The purpose is different. So once you have clearly stated it, only ask questions that are relevant. Rule number 3, constantly test and edit your questions. For example, brainstorm with your colleagues. Try them out with your colleagues. Try them out on you. Analyze your reaction and analyze their reactions. And only keep the best questions. Those that would push people out of their boundaries. Save them, and even better, write them on a document so you can constantly go back at them. And finally, rule number 4, simple, straightforward, eliminate every other questions. Yes, eliminate, period. Albert Einstein said, in the middle of every difficulty lies opportunity. I love this quote so much that it became my motto. Forcing myself to think at the opportunity rather than to focus on the challenge. Every time I'm stuck, regardless of the situation, my insightful question becomes, what is my opportunity there? Your mind is clear? You started with your why, and you have kept the must-have questions only. One last step remains to be done, sequencing your questions. And the best way you can approach this is by thinking about a funnel. A funnel is broad at the top and narrow at the bottom. Use that to sequence your question. Start by the broadest questions at the top, then go down the funnel to more and more and more specific questions and finish by the most specific question. Let me give you an example. The funnel approach is a great tool to sequence your questions. It will provide you with a plan of actions so that you know what questions to ask when. You have now acquired a superpower, the ability to ask the right questions. Remember, step 1, control your emotions. Step 2, start with your why. Step 3, only keep the must-have questions. And step 4, use the funnel approach. If you like this video, I would love to hear your feedback. Tell me whether or not these 4 steps have worked for you, whether or not you've been able to ask better questions. I can be contacted by email or social media. And even better, log on my website and book a free coaching discovery session so that we can continue this talk and find ways so that you ask better questions.